Yes, hi everybody. My name is Gabriella Koch. I live in the Valley in Shelton. I did not live here my whole life, so similar to what Shaheem shared in the beginning, I've seen what it looks like to be living in both sides, right? I've lived in urban communities, I have family, loved ones, and a whole group of social networks and everybody in places like Bridgeport. And at the same time, my actual house is in some place like Shelton. So moving from Bridgeport to Shelton, I saw a lot of differences. And as someone who's young, you do nothing but take note when you don't understand something. And so, like Gia was talking about, educating our children, we can't be afraid to have these kinds of conversations because if you don't explain it to them, then they will just deduce based off what they see. And an example of that would be, me living in Bridgeport. All I saw up until third grade was, black and brown, beautiful culture around me, right? Both languages, a bunch of languages were spoken on a daily basis around me. Then I moved to a place like Shelton, and that's not there anymore. All I see are trees and grasses and huge real estate and a sea of white faces. And while there's no problem in being surrounded by white brothers and sisters, the problem there and lies when you start taking internalizing those things and you think, I guess black and brown people belong in a place like Bridgeport, and maybe moving in a place like like Shelton or a suburban area. You start associating with different things, and if we don't talk about that, if we don't address those differences, the reasons behind it, right? Why you see wealth and housing being so segregated, especially in a state like Connecticut, which is one of the most segregated states in the country, both educationally and in terms of housing. And there's a bunch of websites you can look that on. You can look up the stats online. And similar to what Takara was saying about educating yourselves, that's a big piece, right? To kind of having these discussions. And I want to applaud Tanisha and the whole ETB Foundation for really kind of taking a stance on this. Um, we have a lot of support from the community, and even when I was organizing a protest for the cause, and in a place like Shelton, I was nervous because of the area I lived in, because you don't see people in a place like Shelton, or any suburban area or even the Valley for one, really standing up for these issues and showing up, because sometimes your voice might not be the majority out here. And being in a very conservative area, sometimes you can be scared about retaliation, but that's something that I completely got over the second I saw the amount of support that the protest brought out on and especially from allies. And that really made me feel like there's a lot of awareness and education that needed to be put out there, resources for people who want to be allies to the movement. I'm not a Black woman. I am a Hispanic woman, and racism exists everywhere, even in the Hispanic community. Even in non-Black communities, it exists everywhere, not just in white communities. It is something that has happened globally. And globally, we even see this movement happening, right? We have people in Europe organizing these protests. We have people in all the countries coming together and rising up. And so that's powerful. And I think that as moving forward, we don't forget about this, and this is a continuing process. I want to make sure that civic education is something that we teach everybody. Voting is coming. The voting dates are coming up soon for our state. We have a lot of, we have promising politicians coming out in response to the movement. They're responding to people's wants, to people's desire for change. And it's up to us, the people, to give them that platform and advocate for those who stand up for what we need to see change. And I believe that that can happen, but I believe it won't happen unless we continue spreading awareness, we continue educating, we continue taking the days off when we can't educate no longer, because some days you're tired, some days you don't want to repeat the same thing. You might feel like a broken record player once in a while, but it's important to take care of ourselves and reload when we need to, but to never stop being the person to listen and to also educate back. And I think that's very important in this movement, and we've seen it a lot. But if you feel mad, if anybody feels upset, rightfully so, don't tell anybody you can't feel what you're feeling. Don't let anybody tell you that as well, because a lot of people will say there's a certain way people should address certain things, and those people are usually the ones that are on the outside looking in, unfortunately. Unfortunately, but yeah, again, I'm just happy to be part of this. I'm happy to have gone in education. You know, I have a master's degree, which is something that's very rare for women of color in general, as well as Black and Brown women. You know, and I'm just very fortunate to be able to articulate myself in this way, to be able to be part of this movement, to meet people that can help kind of progress everything. And I hope that we don't forget about it and we continue educating and providing resources to those that you know that want to be involved, that want to be a part of it, and that we don't shut down but we invite in. I believe Lewis Reed was saying that earlier. It's very important when we tell people not to believe something, we give an invitation to also be part of a bigger cause, of a greater calling, and I think that's very important. And yeah, I'm just super happy. I want to share some links on some very valuable websites for allies, people who aren't Black that want to be part of the movement, and how to amplify our fellow neighbors' voices, how to educate other people, and also just, you know, stop letting people manipulate statistics. Because, you know, people love saying, you know, Black people commit all this crime, but they don't understand the causes behind that and how skewed those numbers really are. So it's important to also educate on that level as well. And I definitely want to share. I'll put them all in the comments of this video on live. I believe it's on Facebook. And I'll also put them in our chat as well. And I want to say thank you for letting me talk, and thank you everybody who shared. And I'm super blessed to be in this space with everybody.